Sri Maharaj Ji never studied Arabic or Urdu, but he wrote exquisite poetry in these languages. My Lord, forgive my bluntness, but I am going to forgive my rudeness, my mistake, but I am going to tell you something very bluntly. खोटी खरी सुनाता हूँ. मैं तेरा हूँ, I'm yours. तेरा होकर दर दर की ठोकर खाता हूँ. I'm yours, yet I'm wandering here and there in the world, suffering abuse everywhere. तू समर्थ वारिस है, फिर भी लावारिस मैं कहलाता हूँ. तू व्यापक हर जर्रे में है, पर दीदार न तेरा पाता हूँ. You are my almighty guardian, yet I am known as an orphan. You pervade each and every particle of the universe, yet I do not get your darshan, didar, anywhere. है करम तेरा मुझ पर बेहद, करम is grace. I do realize that you have been extremely merciful to me. यह भी अनुमान लगाता हूँ, पर इस चंचल मन पर रहबर अधिकार नहीं कर पाता हूँ. But my Lord, I am unable to gain control over my restless mind. मन में रहती दुनियादारी बगुला सा ध्यान लगाता हूँ. तुझको खुश करने की खातिर आंसू भी नहीं बहाता हूँ. My mind is full of worldly thoughts and my meditation is like that of a crane that stands on one leg in water. So I'm seemingly meditating in water, but really just trying to fool the fish and make a meal of them. तुझको खुश करने की खातिर आंसू भी नहीं बहाता हूँ. I do not ever shed tears with the purpose to please you. कर नजरे इनायत करुणा कर, मैं माया से घबराता हूँ. झूठा ही सही, पर नाम कृपालु लेकर तुझे बुलाता हूँ. O Sham Sundar, cast your merciful glance towards me and grace me as I am very afraid of your Maya Shakti. Says Jagat Guru Shri Kripaluji Maharaj, I may be an imposter, but still I do call out to you as my savior. सरकार माफ हो गुस्ताखी, कुछ खोटी खरी सुनाता हूँ. Yeah. हर सजे में है पर दीदार ना तेरा पाता हूँ। Next page, there's Naam Lete Hi Musalsal. Shri Maharaji has translated the Ashtapadi, the 8 main verses of Gauranga Mahaprabhu, and he has put them in 2 compositions, one of which we will sing, Naam Lete Hi Musalsal. My eyes will shed tears continuously when I utter your name. My voice will be choked and out of my control. Every pore of my body will await your arrival. When will that day come, O beloved of mine? Every moment of separation from you will seem like eternity. My eyes will always be moist with tears. The entire world will seem empty because of separation from you. When will that day come, my beloved? You may either embrace this worthless servant or keep me restlessly awaiting your darshan. You have the right to do what you want with me. Whatever you do, you will remain my one and only. Naam lete मुसलसल बह चले अश्कों की धार नाम लेते बह चले अश्कों की धार नाचता बहने लगी आलम अब तो वीराना नजर आने लगा। नाम लेते भी संस। बोलिए गौरांग महाप्रभु की जय, कृपालु महाप्रभु की जय, लाडली लाल की जय। Now I humbly request your full attention as I conclude the topic of the glory of the Bhagavatam. If you have your cell phone with you, could you please check it to make sure it will not ring. Thank you. Yesterday I spoke to you about the importance of daily sadhana. Devotion is not an activity in which we engage in from time to time, in which we indulge in from time to time. It is a state of mind in which we must remain all the time, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. The Bhagavatam says that the only purpose of human life is to practice devotion to Sri Krishna, and that devotion must be selfless and uninterrupted. It must be unbroken. In other words, continuous. So we are speaking about the importance of continuous devotion, having talked about selflessness in devotion already. The continuity in devotion can be accomplished only when we practice devotion every single day. Practice is the magic formula. It is the magic word. It is the magic masala, whatever you want to call it. There is nothing else, just practice. Practice makes perfect, both in the world, material world, as well as in the spiritual realm. So yesterday I spoke to you about karma sanyas sadhana. Taking sanyas from all the chores and responsibilities, all actions and activities. We must dedicate an hour or two to God every single day. And during that 1 hour, we must do Rup Dhyan. Sri Maharaji says, Rup Dhyan binu bhajan kirtan janu varsha dhuni dadur. Rup Dhyan is the main ingredient in devotion. If we are chanting the names of God, if we are singing the glory of God, if we are chanting the leelas, pastimes of God, and we are not doing Rup Dhyan, then our voice, the voice that may be very, very sweet, but it just seems like croaking sounds of frogs, which is not an attractive sound, in case you're wondering. So Rup Dhyan is a must, because mind is the one that practices devotion. Mind is the one that performs all our works. So mind is the one that performs devotion. So for that we must do Rup Dhyan. We must bring Sri Krishna into the mind. We must bring Radha and Krishna and our Gurudev into the mind. When we do Rup Dhyan, we must not just stare at an image of Sri Krishna. We must use a beautiful picture. You can choose a beautiful murti, a photo, anything that attracts your mind, and then use it as a basis. Close your eyes and then bring Lord Krishna into your mind, and then have him perform various pastimes. Otherwise, it becomes very boring. The mind says, I'm better off in the world. But we should make the devotion very interesting, because Sri Krishna is alive. He's right here. We cannot see him. But we know that Prabhu Vyapaka Sarvatra Samana, God is everywhere. We just cannot see him. So many pastimes are happening right in front of our eyes, but we can't see them. So we have to imagine them. We must imagine them, and that is Rup Dhyan. Pastimes of your choice. As I was saying yesterday, and as you know already, just reminding you, dress him up, dress Sri Krishna up as you like, put the ornaments of your choice on him, have the length of his hair as you want. Yena kena prakarena manah Krishna niveshayet. Sri Krishna has given us full freedom. Go ahead and meditate on me, do Rup Dhyan as you want. Because I have not established a particular form of myself. All the pictures that we see of Sri Krishna, all the murtis that we see of Sri Krishna, they're based on an artist's conception. Of course, saints, Rasik saints, have given us very specific details about Sri Krishna and what he looks like. Sri Maharaji has given us intricate details of how Sri Krishna looks. For instance, he has a round face. He has curly black, silky hair. He has very large eyes that extend to his ears. Akarna Purna Netram, says Adi Shankaracharya. His eyes extend to his ears. They're so big and so beautiful, filled with nectar. His teeth are pearly white. And there are so many definitions, descriptions I should say, of Sri Krishna that saints have familiarized us with. But we don't have to go through those. We don't have to base our Rup Dhyan on anything. We can just be free to do Rup Dhyan as we like. Because our aim is to keep our mind interested in Sri Krishna. There should always be that feeling that I am doing Rup Dhyan of Sri Krishna, who is divine. But other than that, there are no restrictions placed on us. Kirtans and bhajans will play an integral part in our devotional practice. Krite yadhyayato vishnum tretayam yajato makhaihi dvapare paricharyayam kalau tadhari kirtanat. The Bhagavad Puran says that in Krita Yuga or Satyug, the method of attaining God was that you close your eyes and you silently meditate on God. But there were people living in Satyug and they were very godly. They could easily think about God. We cannot. So after Satyug comes Treta Yuga. So Treta vividha yajna nar karahi Prabhu hi samarpi karma bhavatarahi. The Ramayana also says, as the Bhagavad does, that in Treta Yuga, then the recommended method of meditating on God was by performing yajnas or havan. But then came Dwapar Yuga and the method changed. Dwapar kari raghupati pad puja nar bhavatari upaya na duja. Dwapar Yuga, people of Dwapar Yuga, for them it was recommended that they do ritualistic worship, they do puja. But Kali Jug keval Hari gun gaha gavat nar pavat bhavathaha. But for us, people living in Kali Yuga, there's only one method, and that method is chanting of the holy name. Kale dosh nidhera jannasti heko mahan guna kirtanadeva krishnasya mukta sangha param brajet. The Bhagavatam says that Kali Yuga is full of faults. There's so many vices in Kali Yuga. Kali Yuga is so bad in so many ways. But there is one wonderful thing about Kali Yuga, and that is that you can attain God by simply chanting His names. Kirtana Deva Krishnasya Mukta Sangha Param Brajet. So you can attain Sri Krishna by simply chanting His name. So I would like to talk about the glory of God's name. The name of God is extremely important. The name, His attributes, His pastimes, all of them are one. And they are very, very important. The name of God is a living thing. It is not different from Sri Krishna. Sri Maharaji says, Chinmaya Chetan hai yugal naam, nahi kaal niyam, nahi niyam dham. Chinmaya Chetan hai yugal naam. Radha and Krishna's name, Yugal Naam, Radha and Krishna, is Chetan, Chinmay. It is transcendental. It is a living entity. Because Sri Krishna lives within His name. God lives within His name. Naam mein Nami hamesha rehta hai. So God lives within His name. So His name is different from our name. His name is different from a name of a worldly person. You are calling out to your loved one, but your loved one is in another part of the house. You're in the kitchen and your loved one is upstairs. The kitchen is on the main floor your loved one is in the upstairs bedroom, that loved one, your son, your daughter, your husband, your wife, cannot hear you. You call out to that person, you call out to your family member, your loved one, he or she cannot hear you because we don't live within our name. But when we call out to Sri Krishna, he hears us because he's living inside his name. He sits inside his name. So Sri Krishna listens to us. Does he come to us when we call out to him? Not necessarily. But if he's listening to me, he should come to me. He's alerted. Oh, he's calling out to me. But he's calling out to me from here, from his throat. He's singing from his throat, but not from his heart. So I will wait. Sri Krishna waits until we call out to him, until we sing his name and his glories from our heart. Until we sing his names with love. So we must add love to chanting. But Sri Krishna has given us this most wonderful gift in the form of his name. His name is the same as himself because he lives in his name. However, Goswami Tulsidas Ji says, I say that the name of God is greater than God himself. And he says, Kaha kaha lagi naam badai, Ram na sakahi naam gun gai. The name of Ram is so great that even Bhagwan Sri Ram does not know in full the greatness of his name. Ram namate naam varadayak vardani. The name of God is greater than God himself. Ram bhalu kapi katak batora, setu hetu shram kin na thora. Naam let bhav sindhu sukhahi, karahu vichar sujan man mahi. O good people of the world, says Tulsidas Ji, think about this. Who is greater? Bhagwan Ram, who takes the help of bears and monkeys to build a bridge across the ocean? Or his name, by chanting which you can cross the ocean of Maya easily. So who is greater? So we have to say the name is greater than God. You see, God is not always available on earth, but his name is always available to us. Bhagwan Shri Krishna descends to earth in every Dwapar Yuga, towards the end of every Dwapar age. Bhagwan Shri Ram descends in Treta Yuga. So God is not always available on earth, but his name is always available to us. And we can take the name of God anywhere. God is so merciful that he allows us to take his name in any place and in any which way. And that's a very big thing, because there are rules everywhere. Everywhere. You go to somebody's house and you walk in with your shoes, they'll say, excuse me, but please leave your shoes outside. That's the rules of the house. Someone comes to your house and they light up a cigarette, you don't have to say, sorry, there's no smoking in the house. They'll have to say, sorry, I didn't know the rules of the house. So there are rules in every house, in every household. There are rules in satsang. There are rules when you go to a movie theater, you can't keep your cell phone on. You go to a live performance, you can't do that, you can't do that. There are many rules. When you worship Devatas, there are many rules. You can't offer this one red garment, you have to offer white ones. You cannot offer this, you must offer that. You can only offer this to this particular Devta. You made a mistake, there are rules. But when it comes to God's name, God says, I have not established any rules. You just take my name anywhere and everywhere. We can take the name of God at home, we can take it in the mandir, or we do that, but we can take it anywhere. In the cremation ground, in the funeral home. Oftentimes I go to funeral homes and someone has passed away, and the family has invited me. So what am I doing? In the funeral home, we're doing satsang basically, that's what we're doing. So you can take the name of God in the funeral home, in the cremation ground. You can take it any old time. You can take it at midnight or early in the morning, afternoon, evening, dusk, dawn, whatever. Whatever time. There are no rules. Na desha niyamas tasmin na kala niyamas tatha. Padma Puran says there are no hard and fast rules as to when and where to take God's name. So God has made it very easy for us. The name of God is greater than God also from another point of view, and that is that when God descends to earth, He performs very divine pastimes. To the material mind, they are very confusing. They are very, very confusing. Shri Krishna is begging Yashoda Maya for makhan roti. Maya mohi dade makhan roti. Dade makhan roti. Maya mohi, oh Maya mohi, dade makhan roti. He is asking his mother for makhan on top of thick roti. How is it that he's hungry? Esha atma prahita papma vijaro vimrityu vishoko vichikhatso pipasah satya kamaha satya sankalpah. These are qualities of God, and two of them are ajighatsaha and alpipasaha. He does not suffer from hunger nor thirst. So how is it that he's asking for makhan roti? When the Pandavas were in the exile, they were living in the forests, they were visited by many sages and ascetics. Many rishis and munis would give them darshan, and then the Pandavas would be very distressed, thinking, how are we going to feed the sage and his disciples? So Draupadi was given Akshay Patra by Suryadev. And this Akshay Patra would produce an unlimited amount of food every day, but only until Draupadi had eaten. So after she had finished eating, the Akshay Patra would not give any more food. So she was always the last one to eat. One day, Dushasana, who was always, rather Duryodhan, who was always up to no good, he always wanted to trouble his cousins, he went up to Durvasa Muni, sage Durvasa, and said, Maharaj, my cousins would love to have your darshan. And they're at such and such a spot, and please give them darshan. Thinking that Durvasa would go to the Pandavas with so many of his disciples, and my cousins would be put to shame because they would not know how to feed this whole army. So Durvasa Muni went to the Pandavas and they welcomed him. But Duryodhan made sure that he would send Durvasa Muni late in the evening after Draupadi had finished eating. This is what happened. Durvasa Muni went to grace the Pandavas with his darshan, but Draupadi had already eaten for the day, and Durvasa Muni said, we shall eat, myself and my disciples, we will eat, but after we bathe in the river. So they went off to bathe in the river, and in the meantime, Draupadi panicked. She thought, what will I give them to eat? There is nothing left. So she called out to Sri Krishna, and Sri Krishna appeared. She told him her predicament, and Sri Krishna said, let me see that Akshay Patra. So she brought that vessel, and he looked inside. There was a tiny bit of a piece of a leaf, small little leaf, like a spinach leaf, sticking to the bottom of the pot. So Shri Krishna picked that up and put it in his mouth, and he said, Draupadi, I feel so full. I feel extremely full. And then he disappeared. And Draupadi is thinking, what's going to happen with Durvasa Muni and his disciples? Well, Durvasa Muni and his disciples came out of the river, and then Durvasa Muni thought, I don't know why I feel so full. I didn't eat anything, my stomach is full. And all the disciples said the same, Gurudev, my stomach is full, I cannot eat anything. So Durvasa Muni, along with his disciples, went to the Pandavas and they said, He said, you will forgive us, we will leave now, we'll take your leave because we cannot eat a thing. Suddenly we all feel so full. So Sri Krishna, by eating this tiny little leaf, satiated his hunger as well as the hunger of Durvasa Muni and his disciples. He can satisfy the hunger of countless universes, what to speak of just Durvasa and his disciples. But the same Lord is getting hungry, and he is rolling on the ground and he's saying, Maya, give me food, quick. When he descends to earth, he performs pastimes which are divine. We do not understand divinity. We do not understand it. We are very material people. We hardly understand all of the material things that are going on around us. There's so much in the material world that we don't understand. How then can we understand the divine phenomena, divine pastimes? But when we take the name of God does not confuse us. We are very much enamored with the name of God. We love to call out the different names of Sri Krishna. Govind, Murari, Govardhan Hari, Gopal, Madhusudan, Sham Sundar. There's so many names we call out to him, and we call out to him with these names, and the name of God does not confuse us. So that is also why the name is greater than God himself. Now, if today we get the news that Sri Krishna has come to Vrindavan and we can all go for his darshan, we would have to make some arrangements. You'd have to take time off work. You'll say, I have to go see a very important family member. You'll have to make some excuse. You'd have to spend money. You'd have to buy a ticket. You'd have to make lots of arrangements. But the name of God is available to us. We don't have to go anywhere. It's available everywhere for us. Sri Krishna, when he comes down to earth, at the age of 11 and a half, he leaves Yashoda Maya, Nanda Baba, the gopis, Gwalpal, cows, calves. He leaves every one of them behind. He goes off to Mathura because he has to perform other pastimes. He has to kill Kans, then he has to go to Dwarika, he has to rule Dwarika, he has to become Dwarikadhish. So he renounces the gopis, he leaves them behind, he leaves his murli behind, he leaves his flute behind, and now the gopis do not have his darshan. So they have separation. He gives them separation. But we can never be separated from God's name. He can give us separation, Virah, but his name is always going to be with us. His name never, never, ever leaves us. The name of God is our lifeline. It is so important for us. But we need to chant his name with love. As the Ramayana says, Milahi na Raghupati binu anuraga kiye jog jap gyan viraga. Milahi na Raghupati binu anuraga. God cannot be attained without love. Love is something that he's in love with. So if you love him, he'll be yours. So we cannot just mechanically chant the name of God and expect that we will get the benefit. So we may ask, why is that? Why can I not get the benefit of the name of God when the name of God is divine by itself? There's a fire burning and you feel the heat. You can experience the quality of fire, heat. If you have a sugary drink, a soft drink, you will taste the sweetness. If you have something salty, you will taste the salt. So why can I not taste the sweetness of God? Why can I not derive the benefit of God just like that? Just taking the name of God just like that, without any love. Well, in the case of fire, we have to go near fire. And if somebody wants to really absorb the quality of fire, they'll have to go inside the fire. They'll get burned. So the quality of fire is experienced only when you go inside the fire. And a lot of the quality of fire, heat, is experienced when you go near to fire. So you have to make the effort of going near or going inside the fire. You have to drink that sugary drink to taste the sweetness. You have to eat that salty, that savory dish in order to taste that saltiness. To taste it, you have to eat it. In the same way, to taste the nectar of love of God, you have to taste the sweetness of God, I should say. You have to chant the name of God, but with love. So when we are doing Rup Dhyan, when we are doing Karm Sanyas Sadhana, we must chant the names of God, the pastimes of God, the attributes of God, the glory of God. And we must do it with love. In our Rup Dhyan, Sri Krishna is performing various leelas, and we are relating to him in many different ways, such as he is my beloved, he is my Priyatam. So we sing something like Priyatam Nand Kishore Hamaro. Priyatam Nand Kishore Hamaro. That's Madhurya Bhav. So we form that lover-beloved relationship with him by singing something like Jhumat Avat Sham Dekhu Sakhi Anupam Roop Neelamani Kori. So we go into that mood. But our mind is very mischievous. It wants variety. It wants change. It wants variety. So then we go to another mood and we form another relationship with him. We go into Sakhya Bhav. Dekho dekho ri gwal balan yari, dekho dekho ri. Shamsundar is playing with his friends. He has a wonderful relationship with the cow herders, with the gwal bal, and so there are songs that will, bhajans and kirtans, that will inspire us to think of him as our friend also. There are so many different moods that we can go to. And our mind will be satisfied because we're giving it variety. Do we not crave variety every single day? We do. If the mother gives a child dal and rice every day for 5 days, the child goes, I'm not going to eat this. But you love dal and chawal, you love rice and dal. But every day is the same old thing. Sometimes kids throw their lunch away. I don't want peanut butter and jelly sandwich. You gotta do better than that. Every day, peanut butter and jelly. The mother says, but I get very late in the morning. I have to go to work early also. I don't want the same thing every day. I want variety. We want variety. I want Chinese today. Then one day I want Italian. Then I want Mexican. Then I want South Indian. I want North Indian. I want Odia food. I want this. I want Bengali food. So we have this desire for variety because our mind is very mischievous. We can't change our mind. Our mind will remain mischievous. What we should do is to cater to the mind. Here you go. Now you can think of him as your friend. Now think of him as your beloved. Now think of him as your master. He's always your master. But you go into different relationships. So our mind feels happy. So when you come out of the sadhana, your sadhana room, wherever it may be, your bedroom, your living room, dedicated puja room, then you do the other sadhana, which is Karma Yog Sadhana. You took out the time and you renounced all your duties and responsibilities and you try to focus only on God and Guru. Now you are out in the world, you have to face your chores and responsibilities. Are you going to forget God? Shri Krishna says, don't forget me, I'm always with you. So what we're going to do is to train our mind to think about Shri Krishna for just a split second, every hour on the hour. In the beginning, every hour on the hour. Every morning, okay, I'm going to off to work, I have to drive to work, so now in the passenger seat, I've got Shri Krishna, let me buckle him in. I don't mean you take a murti to work, or you take a photo, no image of God, just in your mind, you're doing Rup Dhyan, he's right there. You take him to work, let's say it's 9 o'clock, and You start your work, and then 9 o'clock you look in front of you, there's a table, and you say Sham Sundar, you sit there. So now at 9 o'clock, he's right there, he's sitting right there. In your Dhyan, he's right there. You visualize him. And then you do your work. Then 1 hour later, 10 o'clock, is he still there? Or maybe he's up on the ceiling, he's there. And at 11 o'clock, is he there? He's there. To remind you, use your iPhone or whatever phone you have. These phones are really great. The gadgets are great. You can put on so many alarms, and you can put on an hourly alarm. Isn't that true? Then when the mind becomes accustomed to thinking of him every hour on the hour for one split second, your work is not going to suffer. And nobody's going to say, hey, I saw you looking at the ceiling for one split second. Who's going to notice? Nobody's going to notice. And you've done your devotion. You have now trained. You are in the process of training the mind. But then when that happens, every hour on the hour, the mind is now accustomed to thinking about God. You cut down the length, and you now think of him every 45 minutes. And then gradually every 30 minutes, then every 20 minutes, every 10 minutes, every 5 minutes, then every minute, then every second. It's going to happen with diligent and daily practice. Again, practice makes perfect. Sri Maharaji gives a very interesting example, a very effective example of a monkey trainer and a monkey. If you grew up in India, then you must have seen these entertainers. They come to every town, village. Would you raise your hand if you saw a monkey trainer with a monkey? Yes. And we used to be so enamored, like so mesmerized by that. Wow. And we would clap our hands as little kids. It was so entertaining, but did we ever think, how in the world did this man train this monkey? Monkey cannot sit still for a moment. So how did that man, that trainer, train this monkey, which is the most mischievous animal in the world? He did it little by little. So he ties the monkey's neck with a 100-foot long rope. The monkey wants to just run and jump all over the place, but when he goes beyond the 100 feet, the rope chokes him, so the monkey thinks, I may as well remain within this restricted area. After a few days, the monkey has made peace with just that restricted area. And then when that happens, the monkey trainer cleverly cuts down the rope to 50 feet. And the monkey thinks, hey, what's happening? I was able to go much further. What happened today? The monkey cannot understand what has happened. The only thing is that the rope chokes his neck. So he says, I may as well just run around and jump around in this area. Then the clever trainer cuts down the rope to 20 feet, then 10 feet, then 5 feet, then just 1 foot. When, after a few months, the rope is only 1 foot long, the monkey thinks, because every creature has a mind, every creature has a brain, they can think. So the monkey thinks, I may as well just sit down. How can I jump around in 1 foot? I can't. So I may as well just sit quietly. Then the trainer starts training the monkey. Isn't that fascinating? So our mind is like a monkey, and we must tie it with the rope of Sham Sundar. And we must keep on cutting down the rope, the length of the rope. In the beginning, every hour on the hour, then every 45 minutes, and every 40 minutes, every 30 minutes, every 20 minutes, every 10 minutes, every 5 minutes, every minute, and then ultimately every second. It does not happen overnight, as all of us know. It doesn't happen overnight. We wish it would. There's nothing magical about it. We wish there were something magical about it. We wish it would happen magically. A lot of people think, when they get old, they will magically and automatically become interested in God. It does not happen like that. You have to keep on working at it. Tritiya tapastaptam chaturthekyam karishyati. If you did not practice devotion in the first, second, third stage of your life, how will you suddenly become godly in the fourth and the final stage of life? That's not possible. So, every day we must engage in two types of sadhana. One is Karma Sanyas Sadhana, the other is Karma Yog Sadhana. Shri Krishna tells us about both of these in the Gita. Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu mamanusmara yudhyacha. Arjun, fight the battle and think of me at all times. That's Karma Yog Sadhana. Karm bhi kar, yog bhi. Yog yani अपने मन को जोड़े रख मेरे साथ. Shri Krishna says, do your duty physically and mentally. Connect to me at all times. Remain connected at all times. That's Karma Yoga Sadhana. And at the same time, he also says, Sarva Dharman Parityajya Mamekam Sharanam Braja. Renounce all dharma, all duties and responsibilities, and surrender to me alone. That is Karma Sanyas Sadhana. Both of them are essential. I ran into someone who said to me that, he said, I think about Shri Krishna all the time. And that's wonderful. But he said, I think about him all the time, but I'm not able to do sadhana for an hour. I said, are you hearing yourself say that? You are thinking of him all the time, but you can't think of him 1 hour a day? That doesn't make sense. What I'm trying to say is our mind tells us, oh, I'm always thinking about God. And I'm always. बस मुरली मनोहर हमेशा दिमाग में रहते मन पे छाए रहते हैं. It's not like that. Our mind is fooling us. The mind says, oh, I'm always thinking about God. We have to say to our mind, no, I'm not always thinking of God. I'm hardly ever thinking of God. Our mind will put up these blocks, these blockages, these obstructions, and it will tell us, you don't have to do sadhana because you're already there. And look at these fools, they have to do sadhana because poor them, they're so worldly, they have to do sadhana, but as for you, you're good to go. You don't have to do anything. No, we all have to do sadhana. Karma Yoga Sadhana and Karma Sanyas Sadhana. And that sadhana must be done under the instructed. It must be instructed by the sixth saint. And there is no word for what we have attained in the form of Jagat Guru Uttam Shri Kripaluji Maharaj. If we say that's the grace of God, then the word grace becomes very small, because what we had and have in our lives is something beyond grace. It is unimaginable grace. It is unheard of grace that we have. We are instructed by, guided by this Rasik saint, and that is to say the least about him. At the very least, Shri Maharaj is a Rasik saint, and I will leave it to your own experience to figure out who Shri Maharaj is. But we have had this Rasik saint in our lives who has given us a very clear method of reaching God. Sri Maharaji has told us the gist of the scriptures. So when the Bhagavatam says the aim of life is to practice ahaituki and apratihata bhakti, that is exactly what Sri Maharaji has taught us. It's not like when Sri Maharaji started preaching when he was just a teenager. He was preaching some other philosophy, and then later on in life he started preaching something else. Sri Maharaji always preached the same, selfless devotion. He taught Gopi Prem all the time. He did not want to be popular. He wanted to teach the right thing. He did not want disciples. The disciples ran after him. He never ran after disciples. He told us exactly what we need to do. Now what we have to do is to just follow the instructions. That is all. We have to follow the instructions. To practice, we must practice selfless devotion, exclusive devotion, and uninterrupted devotion. We have the tools, we have the instructions, now we must put in the hard work. If someone says, you know what, I will just put my hand on your head and everything will be fixed, then run away from there, because that's an imposter. A guru will never say that to you. He will say, I will tell you what to do, but you have to do the hard work. And Sri Maharaji would always say that, you have to do the hard work. Somebody said, Maharaji, roop dhyan nahi hota. Maharaj ji said sarcastically, तुम रहने दो, मैं तुम्हारे लिए कर लूंगा. तुम कुछ भी मत करो. You don't put in any effort. You say it doesn't happen. Maharaj ji used to say होता नहीं होगा थोड़ी, करना होगा. करने से हो जाएगा. ऐसे थोड़े अपने आप हो जाएगा. So Maharaj ji would say, you put in the practice, then it will happen. And we say, it doesn't happen. How can it happen when we don't do anything to make it happen? So practice is what Sri Maharaj ji always emphasized. Practice. So we know what to do and we are trying to do our best. And Sri Maharaj ji always said there is a lot of room for improvement. So there is a lot of room for improvement in our devotion. May we all continue to practice devotion diligently, selflessly, exclusively, and continuously. बोलिए जगत गुरुतम श्री कृपालु जी महाराज की जय. श्री भागवत पुराण की जय. वृंदावन बिहारी लाल की जय. जय जय श्री राधे. जय जय श्री राधे. जय जय श्री